The first step is to establish that something is possible. Then, probability will occur. Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. I think that's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself. The path to the CEO's office should not be through the CFO's office, and it should not be through the marketing department. It needs to be through engineering and design. If something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. I could either watch it happen or be a part of it. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. The value of beauty and inspiration is very much underrated, no question. Really pay attention to negative feedback and solicit it, particularly from friends. I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, but to get things done. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket as long as you control what happens to that basket. Great companies are built on great products. I'm interested in things that change the world or that affect the future and wondrous new technology where you see it and you're like, wow, how did that even happen? How is that possible? Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. You shouldn't do things differently just because they're different. They need to be better. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. The best way to predict the future is to create it. My biggest mistake is probably weighing too much on someone's talent and not someone's personality. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy working. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Nah, what's wrong with a horse? That was a huge bet he made." And it worked. I don't believe in process. In fact, when I interview a potential employee and he or she says that it's all about the process, I see that as a bad sign. If you want to grow a giant redwood, you need to make sure the seeds are okay, nurture the sapling, and work out what might potentially stop it from growing all the way along. I think it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. You have to be pretty driven to make it happen. Otherwise, you will just make yourself miserable. I think life on Earth must be about more than just solving problems. It's got to be something inspiring, even if it is vicarious. If you're changing the world, you're working on important things. You're excited to get up in the morning. It is a mistake to hire huge numbers of people to get a complicated job done. Numbers will never compensate for talent in getting the right answer. Two people who don't know something are no better than one, will tend to slow down progress and will make the task incredibly expensive. I don't think it's a good idea to plan to sell a company. I say something, and then it usually happens. Maybe not on schedule, but it usually happens. The longer-term purpose of Tesla is to help expedite the move from a mine-and-burn hydrocarbon economy toward a solar-electric economy, which I believe to be the primary but not exclusive sustainable solution. If you need inspiring words, don't do it. The idea of lying on a beach as my main thing just sounds like the worst. It sounds horrible to me. I would go bonkers. I would have to be on serious I'd be super duper bored. I like high intensity. People should pursue what they're passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. I don't spend my time pontificating about high-concept things. I spend my time solving engineering and manufacturing problems. I think most of the important stuff on the internet has been built. There will be continued innovation for sure, but the great problems of the internet have essentially been solved. The reality is, gas prices should be much more expensive than they are because we're not incorporating the true damage to the environment and the hidden costs of mining oil and transporting it to the U.S. It is a truth that is difficult for many people to digest, but when you're sleeping, I'm working. If you're changing the world, you're working on important things. You're excited to get up in the morning. When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. You shouldn't do things differently just because they're different. They need to be better. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. I could either watch it happen or be a part of it. In order to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. If you want to be successful, you have to work late hours and weekends. Constantly seek criticism. A well-thought-out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold.